Now we continue with the growth and the development of the long distance trade. We have many reasons that contributed to the growth of the long distance trade, which reasons can be grouped into three groups. We can have economic reasons, political reasons, and then after the social and demographic reasons. About the economic reasons, for example, there is a long list of them, but we have some examples. The others will be seen in details through notes. So the first economic reason, which can be also detailed into many other ones, we have the availability of products needed by both groups. Remember, we saw that during this trade, the participants were of two groups: African people who were involved in the long distance trade and European and Arab traders who came in Africa to look and exchange African products with the products from outside. So in Africa, products needed by the foreigners were available, and then traders were able to bring different products needed by Africans. The second example is the desire of Africans and strangers to possess foreign products. Africans needed products from outside, and Arab and European traders desired or needed the products from Africa. So this helped to develop and to push people on both sides to be involved in the long distance trade. We have also the need of benefits for both Africans and traders. Africans who were involved in the long distance trade also, and the traders also, they expected to have benefits from the trade, so they had to be involved and participate in the long distance trade. We have also the rise of some African leaders who participated and organized in this trade, like Milambo, Nyumbu ya Mawe, Kabaka Mutesa, and so on. So these leaders contributed a lot in the organization of the long distance trade and contributed in its development. And also we have the development of transport. As we saw, there was introduction of domestic animals which helped in the transport. So these with many other reasons contributed to the rise and development. About the political reasons, we have as example the need of firearms for defense and expansion of African kingdoms. Among the products that were brought by the foreign traders, there were arms, clothes, and so on. So firearms were needed by African leaders in order to use them to defeat the enemy and have easy annexion of the foreign kingdoms. There is also the coming of Ngoni people in East Africa. These Ngoni people are the people from South Africa who got problems on their land, economic problems, political problems, and decided to leave the native land to the other different territories of Africa. So a great part of them reached in East Africa, and as they were going to the other territories and they wanted to have a proper land. They had a very specialized army, so they introduced the new war tactics in East Africa and helped to the development of the long distance trade, as sometimes wars were needed to capture many slaves who were needed to be sold to Asia and Europe. There is also the spread of industrial revolution in Europe. Industrial revolution refer to a change or a reform of the work of industries where they needed to produce enough and they needed enough raw materials. And much of them had to be found in Africa. There is also diplomacy used by traders where they had to sign treaties with African leaders who had to allow them to organize trade and trade with the people of their territories. There is also the presence of guns. These guns brought by foreign traders and which were used to raid slaves and hunt elephant and kill the other wild animals in order to get skin to sell to the foreign traders. We have also the social and the demographic reasons. For example, the increase of the population. By increasing the population, products needed to use in the daily life also are increased. So, by the increase of the population, also the need of foreign products also increased. We have also the specialization of work in East African societies, where after a period of rain, after having cultivated, men let the rest of the activities of the field to women and went to participate in trade, which contributed to the development of this trade. Now, these were some of the examples of the reasons which contributed to the development of trade, but after the development, the trade had to decline. And also the decline of this trade was due to reasons that can be grouped into economic reasons and political reasons. For example, among economic reasons, we have the death of great organizers, those African leaders who were involved and organized the long distance trade. Many of them were dead, and there was the lack of the new ones to replace them. So the activities of trade had declined. Also, much products of Africa needed from Africa also decreased, and traders could no longer find products needed easily, and many of them had abandoned the trade. Also, the benefits decreased. How? By the lack of enough products, also enough benefit could not be got easily, and this forced many of the traders and some Africans who were involved in trade to abandon, and this led to the decline of the trade. We have also introduction of the legitimate trade, and this was introduced specifically by the Europeans, and this had replaced the means the organization of the long distance trade and led to its decline. There are also high taxes asked by the African leaders. Traders had to pay taxes in order to be able to trade easily on different African territories. And as those taxes were high, this discouraged the traders who, after a short time, abandoned and stopped trade. Among the political reasons, for example, we have wars of expansion. As African kingdoms needed expansion by attacking the neighboring kingdoms, the territories where there were wars, traders could not trade easily on the fighting ground. So some of the trade routes were closed by war of expansion, which discouraged many of the traders. We have also the colonization of Africa. This is the coming of European colonizers in many countries, if not almost, because we have only 2 African countries which had never been colonized, namely Ethiopia and Liberia. So the presence of European colonialists also discouraged the long distance trade as they came with the many traders from Europe who introduced the legitimate trade. Also, there is the abolition of the slave trade. The slave trade was abolished and the slaves were the most important product during the long distance trade. So these were some of the examples of the reasons which led to the abolition or the decline of the long distance trade. Now, we continue to the effects. For sure, after the decline of the long distance trade, there had been effects for both Africans and foreign traders. But let's first talk of some examples of effects on African people and the African continent. There are also grouped into political effects, economic effects, and the social effects. About the political effects, for example, we have insecurity because of the introduction of firearms, which did not exist in Africa before, and with them, African leaders felt able to attack the neighbors as they had now strong arms. We have also the state formation. Those remember when we talked about the organization on the coast of East Africa. There were different posts where the traders started or moved from to the interior of Africa. So these different port to African coast after the long distance trade also continued to develop as they had started or already to develop, and they developed and became like state and got the organization of small states, and we call them the city-states. There is also the collapse of some African societies. These are weak societies which were attacked by the neighbors, having got strong arms and firearms, for example, guns, and could not resist. They were defeated, annexed, and annexed by the foreigners, the winners, and also weak societies, weak kingdoms were destroyed and collapsed. We have also the formation of specialized army for expansion because of the introduction of new arms in Africa, because of the presence of the Ngoni population in East Africa. The local population also got specialized and acquired the new techniques, and they were able to form the specialized army which were used to organize the war of expansion. About the economic effects, for example, we have the development of trading centers. As we saw, for example, Kilwa, Tabora, Zanzibar, these are the former ports that were carrying the trading activities at the beginning, and the same ports developed and got the formation, the organization of states, like we said. We have also the introduction and the use of cowrie shells for exchange. This is also a new or a change or an effect. As before, the trade in the whole Africa was used by using barter system. So barter system was abandoned in favor to the use of cowrie shells for exchange, and after also there was the introduction of money. For example, the rupee was used in a trade. We have also the decrease of wild animals. As we saw that among the trading products, there were the skins of different kind of wild animals. So the animals were killed to have enough skins, and the number of wild animals had decreased. Specifically, they were hunted in order to find for sure skins, different kind of skins, and then ivory, which was highly needed by the traders, also led to the killing of many elephants. After, we have the emergence of rich traders in Africa. For example, we talked about those African leaders who got involved in the long distance trade, and who were able to organize and help in the development of trade. So the great traders also emerged in Africa and participated in trade, even if at the beginning the trade was specific for Arab and European traders. About social effects, we have, for example, intermarriage, where traders got into contact with African young girls and could get married. And from the marriage also, we have the birth of mixed population. Besides intermarriage, we have introduction of a new language in Africa. This is the Kiswahili. Kiswahili did not exist in Africa before the organization and development of the long distance trade. So Kiswahili was introduced in Africa by Arab traders, and as you know, Kiswahili is spoken in many countries of Africa. Some areas in Africa, some territories were depopulated because of wars looking for slaves. Also, this went together with the separation of families, fleeing the wars, and fleeing the capture of slaves. I hope this was a short explanation, was a short discussion about the long distance trade. But we have, as I said, we have the details. We have more details through the notes which are prepared for you. Please have a look on them. After this, now, I've got work for you. Only 2 questions. First, suppose you are one of the foreign traders and you've never been in Africa. You know no one in Africa, you know nowhere in Africa, you know nothing about Africa, no African language, no African people, and you were one of the traders. For sure, you could get problems during your trading activities. Now, try to think about the different problems you could meet during your trading journey in Africa. Question number 2. The Africans met the foreign traders and they got interested and involved in the long distance trade. Suppose you are one of those Africans who got interested and involved in that trade. What do you think were the reasons that pushed you, that made you to be interested and to be involved in this trade? We shall discuss about the 2 questions with the next occasion. See you.